Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm sharing a Summer Vibes mini album. This is a take on the Our Little Boy mini album that I made for Echo Part Paper. I had several requests to make a tutorial, so here is a very similar one. The size is just a little bit different, but everything else, the process is the same. I'm using two 6x6 sheets of chipboard, very heavy weight, and just a scrap piece of 1.5 by 6 inch chipboard. And those chipboard pieces are from We Are Memory Keepers, which is We Are Makers Now, but you can still find those at your local hobby craft store. And then here is the measurement for that solid sheet of cardstock paper. I'm going to be using the navy blue for the cover. And then because the paper isn't quite long enough, I did cut another piece here, 6 inches by 7.5 inches. So I'll show you how those are going to overlap and complete the cover. Now this is a tool set that I think I got at Amazon, but you can find these on Amazon. Maybe not necessarily this set, but this is just a bookbinding set. Okay, to get started, I'm using my Barely Art glue, but you can use any kind of glue or you can use an adhesive tape if you prefer. So I'm just showing you here that this is going to kind of overlap. And as I lay my pieces down, you want to give yourself about a 1/2 inch border to the side. But I'm going to use this piece from the bookbinding set to give me a good measurement and kind of a placement for that first sheet of chipboard. And I do glue down as I go just to keep things from shifting around. So it's really important to get this first piece on here good and straight, because that will set how everything else will follow into place after that. So I'm just placing that little T acrylic piece there. That's where the spine will go. Just kind of leveling everything up, centering it onto the paper. And then you'll see here that's where the spine will go, right next to that. So I'm just seeing how the placement and everything will go, and then we will start to glue piece by piece down. That's just how I prefer to do it. Some people may glue, everything down at one time, but I prefer to go ahead and get that first piece down and glue that into place, and making sure that my little template there, my little corner template, is still in place. And then I use this felt stamp. It's kind of a stamp buddy thing from, it's actually from Diamond Press. And I will link everything down below from my Amazon store, if you can find it on Amazon. Of course, this kit, Summer Vibes, is a fairly new release from Echo Part Paper. And now I've placed that T piece back down, and I'm gluing on my spine, just pushing that all the way up to the top and all the way over to the side. Just pressing that really good into place there. And I use this Barely Art glue for all these kinds of projects. I never have trouble with it bubbling up or being able to see the glue through the paper or anything like that. And then again, I'm just going to use my little felt stamp press piece just to smooth everything out. And then we're going to move on and adjust this paper for the front. But that's how I did that there. I just made sure everything was lined up. I used that corner acrylic piece again just to make sure that my border was the same all the way around. And so now I'm going to glue the front cover in place. Okay, another component to that bookbinding kit is this little corner piece here. This slides down right over the edge of your chipboard so it sits really snug. And then I'm just going to grab a pencil and kind of make a mark there at all 4 corners of the book. And this lets you have a good guide of not to cut too much of the paper off, which is very, very important. You can cut it too short, and then you've got some of the chipboard showing, which causes some, could cause tearing of the paper. So this is just a really important step here, and I really like that it gives a good guide of exactly how much you need to cut off. Okay, so now that those corners are cut off, you're just going to start gently folding the edges around the chipboard. And I'm using that edge of that acrylic piece there to just kind of give a good crease for the paper. You could also put it onto your scoreboard and score along the side too. Just be very careful not to press too hard. I did have a little piece there at the spine tear as I was doing this, but most of it was covered by the other paper that I laid on the top, so it really didn't matter. So don't be, you can kind of see there where it kind of tore there, right there at the spine. So don't be afraid, if something happens and it does tear, because we are adding another layer of paper over most of this. So most of that will be hidden. So again, you'll just want to add your glue, and then we're going to really fold the edges really good and tight using our bone folder. So we'll just complete this process. Okay, now that everything's glued down, I did use my bone folder to create the 2 creases along the spine. That will just help me to fold my book together. And next I'm going to snip off the excess paper. Just be careful at this point, don't clip too far down into it to where you're exposing the chipboard. So just snip that off as needed. And then we're going to cover the inside. I've cut 2 pieces of paper, 7.5 by 5 3/4. You'll need 2 sheets of that. You can change up the colors if you want to. I just wanted to use the blue. And I applied the back portion for the back cover first, because I wanted the seam where the 2 pieces join up to be facing towards the back of the book. And then I'm just using my Barely Art Glue again to glue everything into place. And then we'll start on the inside here shortly. Okay, now that we're kind of smoothing the paper out on the inside, just keep in mind as you fold your covers up, like I'm doing here, some of that paper may bubble up on you, and that's fine. Just keep working at it, keep smoothing it out. I know most of you may not have this little felt stamp buddy thing, but you can virtually use anything that has a smooth side on it to kind of help smooth that out, whether it's a brayer. You can use just an edge of your bone folder or whatever you need to use, but just keep working at it till that paper smooths out. Then next I'm using my center ruler to find the center of the spine. I've come about halfway down and then to the center, and I'm going to use my long reach punch to make a hole. And I did use the smallest hole on this punch, but you can use a larger one if you want to. But I find that the cording goes through just as fine on the small hole there. And this is optional. The book does stay together very well without using a cording to kind of give a closure to the book. And there's a completed cover. And then I'm just going to flip through here and find some different pages to start building the inner pages. I always like to start with these 4x6 journal cards. I just think it's really a fun interactive component to the book. So I'm just going to score those in half, just follow the natural area there that separates the 2 cards. And I know too that my book is already 6 inches tall, and I don't want this to be that tall, so I'm going to trim a little bit of the paper away. Just be careful not to cut any of the words or anything off as you're trimming this. And for these folded over papers, I like to make little gussets at the bottom so that you can add extra tags or photos or memorabilia to the inside. Just gives you some more storage. So just use any scrap paper, just as long as it's tall enough. I would say about 1.5 inches to 2 inches tall, and then the same length as your paper. We're just going to make a gusset and glue it down, attach it to the bottom, then add more glue, and then we'll flip over to the top. And then on that next 4x6 journal card set, I'm going to cut apart these two 3x4 cards, just using my trimmer, but you could use scissors, and just trim all the way down. And I don't want this portion to be punched when I actually bind everything for the book using my cinch. So I did trim away a little portion of that so that these cards can be flipped up and apart when they're added to the book. Okay, next we're going to move on to the pocket page. When you're selecting your paper for your large pocket page, just keep in mind that a portion of this at the bottom or at the top will flip up to create your pocket. So you just really don't want anything with, with any design that's going to be facing directional, like up or down or whatever. You want something that can really fit either way. So that's the reason why I chose this particular pattern. And here in just a few minutes, I will write everything out on where I've scored everything and the dimensions of this paper. Okay, now that you can see where I have scored everything, I'm going to fold that along all of the score lines. And then that last score that we did at the very bottom, that one right there, that's going to be where our pocket is going to be. But first, I want to take my scissors and I'm going to cut along that crease up to that score line of where the pocket is. Okay? Just cut it at an angle. There you can see it makes a little V when you open it up. And then I'm going to fold that bottom portion up. That's our pocket. That's our 2-inch pocket. Again, see, I wish I had made that maybe a 2.5 inches, but it's okay. Everything fit in there just fine. And then again, I'm making another gusset for the side. You could make gussets for all 4 corners if you want to, but that one there on the other edge on the other side will actually be punched, so nothing will fall out that other side there. So we're just going to add this to the inside and create our first pocket. Okay, next I'm taking another little piece of chipboard, covering on both sides with that matching blue paper. Just make sure it's the same height as that blue paper that covers up the inside of the book. Then next I'm going to grab my cinch. I'm going to set it to, I think I have 11 circles that I need for this, or 11 holes. So I'm just going to start sliding my different pages into the cinch and then punching those holes in there. Okay, now that all my pages are punched, I'm going to use a 1-inch black binding wire to hold all the pages together. I'm just going to thread all the pages on there. Okay, now that all of the pages are on the binding wire, I'm going to move to the back of my cinch. Now this is an older model cinch, so I'm not really sure how the newer versions do, but you'll just want to select by turning the knob to the size of your wire. You'll press the lever down and that will make the binding ring close down. And then another thing that I noticed after I had everything bound together was that my pocket page was really a little bit too long. So I made some adjustments. I refolded the edge of it there. I'm just showing you where the new crease is. And then I'll show you at the very end where the pages are, how that looks. I had to add some washi tape to it to hide it, but it turned out just fine. And so everything now fits in nice and snugly. Nice and snugly. Okay, so that looks good. You'll just want to make sure that your book closes. So that will give you a good idea of where to, you don't want to come over too far, or you don't want to go out too far. So really kind of go back and forth with that. Get good placement before you commit this with your glue. Again, I'm using my pencil. I'm going to mark. I'm just going to make a really light mark right there. That way I don't lose my spot. I know I've got good placement. And then I'm going to add my glue to the back. If you want to use a really strong adhesive tape here, you can. But this works just fine. And then you'll just want to line everything up. That's why I was saying earlier, when you make this chipboard piece, you'll want it the same height as that blue paper that covers up the inside of your book. So again, just kind of really rubbing this down into place, getting it good and secure, and then we'll start decorating our pages. And voila, we're done. All completed. Now for this project, of course, I've used the collection kit. I used the solid papers. I used some miscellaneous enamel dots from different collections, but I also used the chipboard accents, some of the ephemera pieces, but most everything else just came from the actual collection kit. I will have that linked below in the comments for Echo Part paper. But see here, I just used some of the scrap paper, that was some of that leftover blue paper, which is yellow on the other side. Added a card to it, and you'll just see how I added the different stickers. Added some tabs to the sides of it. Layered on different stickers and chipboard pieces. And that looks like a title or a tag piece there. Also added some tabs on the top just for extra interest. I did also use one of the stamp sets from the collection and stamped it and then colored it in with just some colored pens. And there's that back pocket page. And you'll see there the washi tape on the side and how I wrapped the washi tape all the way around. There are those two cards that we cut apart. Which add a little popsicle to the bottom. And then there's another cut apart card. I just made it kind of a little flip page. And for my photo mats, I usually use like a foam tape to add that to the page with, and that just really adds a bunch of extra bulkiness to the book, which kind of helps. And then here are some walkthrough pictures that we're just going to walk through, and you can see everything up close and personal. Thank you so much for looking. Let me know if you have any questions at all. Thank you.